Oh,
Looks like you got it.
all right. Well, I think we'll give everybody just like another minute to join us before we kick off the show. But I'm excited to start the new year off with a bang with our amazing guest this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Me too. I guess I'm having never done this. Will questions pop up Oh, I see the chat. Okay. Oh, hello. Um, we read the chat, right? Or do people speak?
We read the chat, but at the end of the show, we open things up like old school passive house accelerator. So somebody can pop on either, just audio or if they want to show their face. Um, Sometimes we even have people show their current project. You know,
Oh,
it just depends what's going on.
that's awesome. Awesome, awesome.
You made it, Connor?
I did make it. Yep.
Everything is okay?
Yeah, it's we our dog's nickname is Visa and he's there once a week. Last week he was an ear infection. Yesterday it was we think spraining or fracturing his foot.
Oh
So
no.
it's like, yeah. And I don't know, to get an x-ray out of a dog, you have to sedate them. So that was it's a fun thing to learn. So yeah.
Oh, we
Yes.
know.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So we're back.
Poor thing.
He's groggy. I mean, dogs are the best when they're sick because they're just like big stuffed animals, you know?
Mm-hmm. Dogs are the best always.
They are. Yep.
They are
I completely agree.
Totally.
100%. All right. Well, I think given it's almost 5 minutes after, we should probably kick this off. Um,
Okay.
Welcome to BS&BEER Canada. My name is Aaron Jones. I am a carpenter and a builder on Grand Manan Island in New Brunswick, Canada, over on the East Coast. And before I introduce our esteemed and special guest this evening, I think I'm going to hand it off to one of my good friends from Central Canada, Connor Malloy.
Thanks, Aaron. Everybody, I'm Connor Malloy. I'm a designer, builder, and educator in Toronto. I work as a buildability consultant and I teach full time at George Brown College. We have a building and renovation program focused on building better and building high performance. Tonight, I'm drinking, I've given up booze for the month. So it is Jelly King. It's a non-alcoholic beer from Bellwoods Brewery in Toronto, one of my favorites. And want to pass it over to my closest friend, geographically and relationship wise, Jeremiah.
Hello, everyone. I am Jeremiah Summer. I'm a builder in southwestern Ontario. I enjoy dabbling with building science on a little bit more of an obsessive hobby basis and integrate the things I learned from a lot of really smart people all over the world into our practice and see what fits and like to try all kinds of different techniques and learn from these great people. And tonight, I'm not drinking for the month of January, but I am drinking a sober carpenter. So I guess I'm not drinking tonight.
Thank you, Jeremiah. I did forget to say that I am drinking a Days Done Pale Ale from Trailways Brewing, and it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Kelly Grace from Travis Price Architecture. And I am not entirely sure what all Kelly's going to share with us this evening, but I guarantee you some of it's going to be beautiful, some of it's going to be interesting, and we're going to learn more than probably one or two things along the way. And if you're not already following her on IG, you should be. Kelly, what's your IG handle?
It's at Non-Tox Architect and as well at Travis Price Arc.
And you should be following both. There's some amazing stuff happening there, folks. Without further ado, Kelly, please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. This is exciting to kick off the new year. I am, Kelly Grace at Travis Price Architects. I'm the managing principal there. We're based out of Washington, D.C. but do work all over the world, mostly in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, but we'll travel anywhere that's for a cool project. We really focus on hip and modern architecture. That's our bag. And if you don't know Travis Price yet, I think of him as like the Einstein of architecture. He really looks like him too, like kind of crazy white hair, and he's pushing 80. I shouldn't say that out loud. 75. He's getting up there, but he was a professor of mine at Catholic University in Washington, D.C. He taught an around the world design build course where we would take the semester in school and we'd go deep into an ancient culture and we'd study this culture. And we ultimately were designing a sculpture to be built that summer in the landscape. And I just fell in love with the design build world in that course. I got to go to Ireland several times and then stayed on to help teach the course where we did projects in Italy and Machu Picchu and Nepal and Colombia, in Vancouver, in way up in the Stikine, like up northern Canada was actually the first one. So that kind of started my trail with Travis. And I'll keep my bio short, but just quickly, I went into construction in 2008 because the recession was not hiring architects. So I went into the world of construction for a while and then always kept my leg in the door at Travis's, working for free as an intern for years until I could come back. And then ultimately came back in 2012. Shortly thereafter, became a partner in the construction company as well as the architecture firm. I built my way up to a principal. So I do have a good knowledge of wearing both hats, wearing many hats, usually more the liaison and design and the person bidding the job mostly. And so I only lay that out there so I feel where you guys are coming from. And I think this is why Travis actually created a construction company, was because he was up to really cool stuff and he wanted to create modern architecture, but most builders were scared of it and they ran for the hills. And so it was a challenge, and that or they just put the most insane price tag on the homes. It was just like they became unbuildable. And so Travis had a builder that was a real can-do guy and decided to partner with him. And I'm going to take you through a lot of our favorite houses right now. And it's more just a voyage to show you what we've done in the past 20 years, as well as where we're going. And I really think we were leading the high performance world before it was even a term, in the sense of our building skins and what we are trying to achieve. So I think, is it okay to go ahead and share the screen? Okay, sharing. Okay, now let me go full screen. All right, everybody see that?
Yep.
Awesome. So I'm just gonna kind of take you through this show and talk over the pictures as we scroll through. But this is one of my absolute favorite houses that we did in Bethesda, Maryland. And it peaks over the Potomac River where the river splits. And everything about our architecture, it starts with storytelling. It starts with metaphor, and it starts with really getting deep into the roots of our clients, which is where Travis actually teaches that in Spirit of Place, the class we did in school. It's the same philosophy over and over again with everybody. How do you begin to create something on a blank slate of dirt? It's very hard. And so we take a lot of cues from the story that we create with the client, and ultimately we write a poem about the client to dictate the form, as well as take the site cues. There's a lot that goes into it, but basically this home, you're coming up to the front of the house right now, and over to your right is the garage. But as you come up the walkway, the house is splitting and it's giving you a view. You're coming through there and you're peeking down onto the Potomac at this moment. And this is the perfect solar angle of the solstice, where we're letting in all of that winter light and we're blocking all of our summer light. So we're really, Travis was huge in the passive design movement in the 70s. He coined the term passive design. He was one of those greenies that started that movement. So it really goes into everything that we do. And we love metal. We refer to metal as the Gore-Tex of our building skin. We we equate it to the north face. It's like that's the Gore-Tex layer, and then we go into the warm fuzzy insulation, which is your down inside your down vest, and then the inside is where it's the soft materials. So metals are our outside preferred, and then our insides are wood. We love wood, and you'll see a lot of these houses I'm going along. Like this house was built, I went too soon, 2010, so over 15 years ago now. And we're guinea pigs on ourselves. We started making reglets before Frag Reglet was making reglets. So, we're always testing those pieces to come up with new things. And now the market is really caught up in modernism, which is awesome. So we don't have to recreate these wheels and just can spec in things, which has been super helpful. But we use a lot of plywood because we were trying to build these things for not super expensive, dollars per square foot at the time. And so I'm sorry if you hear my kids in the background. They're downstairs running around with our new puppy. But so that's the big philosophy of the firm, is steel skins. You'll see a Galvalume roof here, and you'll see a lot of Corten metals or copper metals. And this is an all slate floor. But everything we've been doing has always been natural materials. We really loathe turning a material into something it's not. So we never, unless we're forced by a client, do we stain wood. Our wood is what it is. If it's birch veneer plywood, it's birch veneer plywood with a clear coat. We don't try and make it into something it's not. So we're always trying to do something extraordinary out of something ordinary. This was where we really got our name on the mark with Travis's house. This is smack dab in the middle of Washington, D.C. And the left is the front of the house. And it looks like, people are like, oh my gosh, that's the front of a house. But it faces a pretty drab cul-de-sac full of many city houses in a very expensive neighborhood, not far from the president. I mean, everything, the vice president, I should say. This is in the middle of Rock Creek Park, where you have to go in front of the Fine Arts Commission and present your project. And this house is super cool because this was built 25 years ago, and it's half a suspension bridge, basically. The only things that touch the ground are the two columns you see coming down that are embedded deep into the bedrock, and then the cable ties back to the earth. Everything else, you can see the bottom there, floats. Can you see my mouse when I do this? Yeah, cool. So yeah, you can see the shadow line here. Everything's floating. Then we have this glass bridge of intrepidation as we go over. But everything is super intentional. This indentation was designed just to keep this tree here, And then you open up into the house, and the back of the house is a full drop off of glass, and you're in the middle of Rock Creek Park. So you're in the forest at that point, very private. And this was a big trial for Travis. This is kind of it's a small house, believe it or not. It's 3,500 square feet. It feels big, but it's not that big. But it's 4 floors. We've been using commercial glass for a very long time because we've been wanting large units. So this is all, at this time, it was probably either Old Castle or Arcadia. Back in the day, you'll see our use of cowl wall over here, which was the early versions of cowl wall. I don't know if you guys know what cowl wall is, but that's the fiberglass translucent material. Back then, it was like an R10 maybe, and I think they've gotten up to R25 now. It's pretty cool stuff. But we like to show off systems too. All of our ductwork is exposed here. We can see exactly what's going on in the house. The fireplace is what it is with the flue. Totally exposed. You can see the drawing here on the right, pulling back into the bedrock. And then you can kind of see in the corner of this picture, this is what we call our 10,000-pound earring. This was our counterweights. On both sides of the house, there's these huge steel drums that we filled with river rock, mostly concrete, and then the top layer is like a beautiful river rock. And you see them from in the house. And that's just to keep it from, swaying like a bridge would. But the whole idea of the house was designed from a poem from Travis of this tree eating this rock. And it reminded him of a sadhu staring at a tree, eating a rock in Bhaktapur. And he just told this poem in front of the Fine Arts Commission. and it was a all steam ahead within a very short time frame, and he went ahead. But I put this picture in because I thought it was cool. Most of our pictures are finished pictures, but you can really see the house floating here. And I just love how this came out. And you can see kind of across the way how close these city houses are to him. I love that. I forgot to tell you guys, I'm drinking dry cider. Austin. So then anyway, then this house is also in Washington, built in 2008. This is across from the oldest house in Washington, D.C., also a Fine Arts Commission piece that we had to go through. But this is a copper skin that we patina on site. We buy it's like a patina spray you can get. It's eco-friendly. And we have cedar on this house, which you guys know, you live and you learn with each project. This project was cedar. We'll never do cedar outside again, as far as we can tell. We force clients usually not to do it on the facade. We're all about it on soffits and indents where it's not getting rained on and there's no harsh weather. But boy, is it a maintenance mess. So we push against it now, but the cedar and copper is undeniably beautiful, the orange and the green. I'm sorry, I'm texting my husband to tell the kids to shut up. They're downstairs running around with a new puppy, as I said. Sorry about that, y'all. So anyway, I will keep going here. This house was really cool. It was a poem with two hands holding but not touching with this client. So you'll see in plan two big hands of these copper fins. And a lot of our houses are on really tight lots in Washington. So we ultimately end up doing a lot more flat roofs than we would probably like, because clients ultimately want higher spaces, roof decks. A lot of times you can get a peek to the White House or something cool not too far away. So we've perfected that for a while, but we design everything, soup to nuts, from the driveway all the way to the back edge of the property corners, all of the hardscape, all of these like this is my favorite fence here. We did a copper pipes staggered every 4 inches. And then they just brown over time and you fill them with concrete powder and just little things like this. But this is stuff that our firm does. And we draw it all beforehand, and so the builder can really lock in the price and get really dialed in on what we're all about. And then a nice pool in the back. It gets so hot in Washington. This is one of my favorite projects. You guys can't see the top, right? I don't know if you can, but this is the front of the house, and this is the back of the house. In 2005, this client came to us, and again, you can see the neighbor right here. Very tight lots in Washington. This is in Washington. And they had this cute little Cape Cod, and they needed more space. So you can kind of see perched up here at the very top, our new addition creeping in. And then we just blew out the back with a 5-story addition into the forest. They have a beautiful forest property. A lot of cow wall, a lot of glass. But as I said, we started our own construction company and we're doing details before, I think it's called View Rail, or a lot of these glass companies existed. We were making our own glass handrails, glass guardrails, things that we could do to get within the eye of the needle of the budget and make it cool. So this is the inside. You're really thrown into the forest. Everything we do is trying to preserve trees and put you into the landscape. If we drop our glazing all the way to the floor and throw you out into the outside, we've now doubled our space psychologically, and that's a big thing for us. We will always try and explode space, especially in houses like city houses where you have not a lot of space. We do it everywhere because it's cool, but especially in cities, you want to try and blow it out. I love this shot at dusk. You see this full cow wall stairwell and the house just glowing at night. A beautiful stairwell that was very simple, just using a bunch of sheets of plywood glued together. And then, we always go all out on our stairs and our front doors. We customize all of those, and those are one of our favorite jewels to do in the house. This is their roof deck. Everybody wants a roof deck. And don't even zoom in too close on a building science perspective here because those columns are not wrapped. So I'm going to keep it moving on. You live and you learn with all of these, but I think yeah, you have to really deal with steel and condensate, and that's something you'll never forget once you do. Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. This was a cool bachelor pad. This guy wanted a little place out in the woods, and we kept every single tree on this house, and we call it laying light on the land, right? Everything was pilings. There's no foundation other than the pilings, so we're floating here along the dirt. Um, and it's all glass. He wanted to be in the woods. He's a hunter. He wanted to see the animals, step out at any place in the house, and be outside whenever he wanted to. So again, plywood ceilings, metal roofs. This was really cool. We brought the trees inside the house, and it's I'm sure losing a little bit of energy, but for the sake of coolness, we're about it. And I think he's out there stoking a fire most of the time, and just you can imagine what this place looks like in the winter when it's snowing. There's this really cool technology. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but you can basically aerate the roots of a tree system where it pushes the dirt away, and then you can expose the roots so that you're not damaging them when you're doing your foundation piling. So you really are being very delicate, making sure not to, in case those trees were to die every day, one day, that's always a question. But yeah, this is just a cool small unit out in the woods. This is one of my favorites in Nashville. This is a photographer, his writing studio and his home. We love natural materials. This is all variegated bluestone. We created little aperture windows just like a camera would, and they're all looking at different views into the landscape. This has a metal roof. This is really dated pictures. You can tell the quality here, but always natural floors. We do use drywall on walls, but if we had it our way, we wouldn't use any drywall in a house. But wood ceilings is kind of our standard. Another outside view. A lot of our houses, most of our houses, we don't use gutters. We use scuppers, and we shoot the water out of these scuppers, and we create cool collection bins or basins that are, carried underneath to gravity elsewhere. But we have fun with that too. So one time we did, I should have put it in a picture, but we did an entire casement of fisheye marbles. And it was beautiful. All these glass marbles that the rain just went into. Oh, it was really sweet. It was like an art installation in the landscape. Same house. More pictures of that house and in the snow. It looks super cool. Let's see. Another one in Berkeley Springs in 2011. Again, we use a lot of copper. There was nothing to look at towards us, so we kept our view entirely facing backwards to two mountains that were in the distance. Everything we wanted about this house was to face the forest, be in the forest, and just be really minimalistic in here and enjoy the outdoors as much as we could. Believe it or not, when we were building these houses, we were under tight budgets because we were trying to get all the cool architecture done. So this is an IKEA kitchen, an IKEA countertop, believe it or not, which we pull away from a little bit more now, but we will do it sometimes just to get the budget down. Custom spiral stairs are our favorite. I love looking at powder coating decks and picking out the final colors. This is one of our orange ones. We've done red and turquoise. Another roof deck on the top. Again, keeping the wood fully out of weather as much as we can. Maybe we would have done that differently today, but we'll move on from that. Inside from the back, just like all glass looking to the woods. And then this is a cool house. This was actually an existing home, believe it or not. I should have showed a picture of the existing. It was an old Rambler. The basement was the first floor, and then the main level was their second floor. And we kept the basement walls and took the second floor off, and then really had fun playing with the house. This one was tucked into the woods. We kept all the trees. We meandered the path from the driveway up into the house to get to the first floor. again, would never do cedar decking like that on the, we were forced on this one. And it's a mess now, but a mess of maintenance. I guess if you have an abundance of dough, it's okay. But if, but it came out beautiful. We love orange wood with green copper. We're just suckers for that, or copper with red. And then you can see the inside. It's kind of our trademark to do an exposed flue. Beautiful stone tiles we brought in, and she's Estonian, so very Estonian furniture. But every client's house has a story about them. This is cool. This is their outdoor sauna and their shower, a little cold plunge, and then they have a roof deck as well. We put planters on this house, which again, I don't know that I would do that again. It's just inviting rainwater in. Okay, this is a complete curveball. In 2014, we were hired by my husband to redo one of his college rental properties, which was a complete, I mean, it was so full of beer and that it was falling down. So we had to tear it down in a school summer off. So we had a very tight timeline. Kids move out in May and they move in September. And Travis was like, there's no way we're going to build a new building in this location in 4 months' time, especially with Washington, D.C. permits. And the only way we could think of it was to do something modular. So we brought in 18 shipping containers. We stacked the building in 3 days. It was wild. We stacked the building in 3 days. So there's, let's see, I think I have a floor plan here. Yeah, there's 6 containers per floor. It's very cool. It's for student housing. So they're like little mini micro units. But by zoning, we could only have 4 units. So we did 6 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms per floor. Each kid had their own bathroom, and then the shared kitchen, living, dining. And we are at the absolute max capacity of this lot. 24 wide by 80 long. These are 40-foot containers that are high cubes. And, it really fell in the lap of our philosophy, though. Steel on the outside, which we find to be the most high performance, like a car. And then we could do wood on the inside. So this is the interiors. We used our plywood. You gotta treat college kids like prisoners, They just want to punch walls and stand on things and just beat it all up. So we made sure that plywood was not just on the ceiling, but also on the walls. They still managed to ding it up, but we kept all of the container floors. These were repurposed boxes, so the floors were very dinged up. But it went great with the nostalgia of the boxes. You can see, the gouges from the materials being dragged across. But we brought the same ethos into this, even though it was an extremely tight budget. Leading up to my wedding, we almost didn't get married after this, but it all worked out. We got the kids moved in. Our wedding was September 6th. They were supposed to be moved in on September 3rd, but instead we had them in hotels until September 15th. And then we got them all in. So it was wild, to say the least, but it's the same idea, bringing the windows to the floor, using, we used a mirrored IKEA wardrobe here to blow out that back end and really feel like you're in the woods and get that extra view. And it's just enough from what the kids needed. So that was 2014. Then 2016, a client called and wanted us to do a shipping container in their backyard on an 18-foot wide row home lot. So he had all of 10 feet wide that he was able to build with on the property line. And he wanted an art studio. And this one was cool. It was on HGTV on a show called Container Homes. And we craned in this beauty of a container. And we were we're always playing tricks with zoning. If we do 2-foot pop-outs, which are like bay windows, as long as they don't go to the ground, we can make extra space. So we made these little benches with the artwork in the middle. Again, don't nerd out too much on the glass here with building science. I know you guys, let's just pass through. Go. There's some condensation issues that we lived and we learned on this one, but that's neither here nor there. That's all part of the process. But nothing touches the ground in the container. That's the coolest part about containers. It's a 40-foot beam. You can span 40 to 40. And so it's so cool. You can do a lot underneath them. We've done other bigger buildings where it's an entire parking garage underneath because your column line is spaced out better. It's cool stuff. So this is the inside of the gallery. We brought it through a tractor trailer paint booth. This is Ford F-150 white. That's the that's the shiny gloss you're seeing here, and it came out beautiful. I mean, it was so stunning. You almost didn't want to touch it. But this was a brand new box. We didn't buy a once. It's called a one tripper, but it's pristine floors. We ground down the tunnel, and it came out great. And it was fun being on the show with that camera crew. And then containers kind of fell into our lap as being our thing. We were like the container gurus of America, it seemed like. We were getting calls all over the country. And this one's not far from DC. It's in Silver Spring, Maryland, but this is like a hybrid for us. So we did 2 containers on one side and 2 containers on the other. And then we bridged the middle with stick framing. And it came out super cool. This is the back living room. It's a 20-foot space because of our double-decker boxes. And another lot that's in the woods, really cool clients. We bought container floor here and went ahead and matched the screw pattern of the container boxes and deep filled them with epoxy. And so it all looked the same, but this came out really cool. The clients absolutely love it. And so there's ways you can do hybrids here. By getting a little bit of container and then just get this amazing texture on the inside. And an added plus that it's all magnetic. So all the artwork is hung by magnets. Makes it super easy. And this guy's a cool pilot. And so this is his little pilot chair getting front and center here. You can see this is where the picture is kind of in the way. Can you see that? So this was our biggest cantilevered box we'd ever done. This is a 4-foot cantilever. You can go down the highway this way. We make everything highway possible, right? So we're always thinking about the trucks, how to bring it down the road, how to crane it in. And that made it possible to have a master bedroom in here and kind of tuck the bed in and get her in and around the bedroom. So that was a cool one. And then this is the wildest thing. 8 years later, the same container that was on HGTV, the guy called us back and said, hey, they just changed the DC zoning. We can put a second layer on this thing, a second level, which blew our mind because this is an 18-foot wide lot. And this thing is 22 feet tall. So I kind of call it the middle finger of Washington. It's right off of Wisconsin Avenue. You can really see it from the road. But we did the same thing. We reversed the bay windows. He wanted it to be an income property so that it could be turned into an apartment if he ever sold the house. And so the upstairs was turned into a bedroom. We brought the half bath upstairs. I don't think I have any indoor pictures of this one, just this one. And yeah, it came out super cool. And that's the coolest part about containers. You take the roof off and you just, normally you could lock in your corner castings from one right to the other with these tandem locks. But we ran our HVAC through here, so we didn't have to see it. So we made steel blocks and raised her up and then put a continuous steel welded plate on the outside of this guy. So we raised it up a little bit to max out our height there. So that was a cool one. Again, in Ford white. Another picture of it. Let's see. We're getting towards the end here. How am I doing on time? Okay. Okay, cool. What time did we start? Okay, 7. Yeah. So this is a Georgetown. I don't know if you guys know what Georgetown is. That's like the historic city, the historic part of Washington. So this is a row home infill. We tore down a row home and then we put this up. So this is property line to property line as far as we could stretch the property. And we went with an all glass facade, but we did these steel perforated shade fins. and we held it off the building so we could clean the glass, but it's all stainless steel. It came out beautifully. It just dances on the inside. And we played off, I'll show you another photo. On the inside, we did a stairwell using similar materials. Our builder cheaped out and did this. This is like a wart for us. So don't zoom in too closely on that. That wasn't part of our plan. But, it's probably the safest from a water management standpoint. So we get it. I know sometimes architects, we want things to be prettier than they are practical. But this was staged for selling. It was a flip these guys did. So they sold it. So this is not our bag when it comes to all this drywall. We really pride ourselves on being warm architects. I mean, warm modernists, not cold modernists, which a lot of modernism is just so white and cold and harsh, but a lot of our stuff is organic and warm and natural materials. And when we drew this, it was all wood actually on floor, ceiling, walls, and it was all meant to be continuous wrapped, like the floor seams would wrap to the wood, the wall seams, and it was supposed to feel very intentional with the same size boards. But, VE happens with a developer, and that just got hijacked. But it came out great. It came out great. That's the backyard you get in the city. They have a little car drive-up area in the back here. Eventually, they might put a pool. And then we brought that same perforated stainless on the center core of the stair. We always hold the stair 4 inches off the wall, whatever we can max out with code to really just push the limit on invisible edges. That's one of our favorite things to do. Yeah, this picture was taken before the frosted film went in, so don't have a heart attack. There is going to be there's going to be film. We're not going to be, nudist on the street here in Washington, because you really are on the street here in the city. Okay, this is way bigger font than I would have thought. Okay, so I'm not sure where to put you guys. I'm going to put you down here. That's the end of the show, but I just thought I'd hold this up here to really just point back at the things that we are always in our arsenal when we're designing a house. Durability, long lasting, and low maintenance is like absolutely critical, which is why we push all day long for metal skins. We'll ask a client to reduce square footage to get numbers down so that we can get the really durable systems, because we will fight hard for that. And usually clients will, but go for it, or begrudgingly go for it, but thank us later. Sustainability, cradle to cradle, buying local, also a big deal for us. We try not to go over the pond too much. And we really do investigate buying things nearby. Technology, I didn't touch on this too much in the presentation, but I feel like as you get more and deeper into your craft, and you're kind of doing the checking the boxes, like we've got the durable, we've got the high performance, we've super insulated. I will say we're not usually doing passive yet. Some of our houses are pushing for it now, but we haven't gone whole hog there. I mean, everything's code, which in DC is R60 roofs now and R21 walls. So we're not uninsulated. We're very warm, but I think passive is one of those next checks we'll get to soon. But we're diving deeper into technology and the problems we're having with technology. I mean, we have a lot of high-end clients who want very smart homes. And while that sounds really great, there's a problem with it too. I think that having everything so electrified and so smart is kind of crazy, right? Because it's really dumbing us down. Do we really need Wi-Fi to tell us that our roast is done in the oven? Or do we really need a phone charger that's embedded in our countertop where we just set our phone down? I think people aren't realizing that everything is putting off these frequencies. And so I am diving really deep for our firm, and I'm rewriting the spec books so that we can try and avoid this for people. And most clients have no idea what I'm talking about when I come in and say this stuff. And that's okay. They also don't know anything about the insulation or what I'm talking about, a flathead screw. They don't have to know. But if you don't believe in frequencies, then you must not believe in Wi-Fi, right? Like, how is your phone working across the room from the router? There's a signal that's coming to this phone. Well, the same thing is happening in a house. When you have all these smart systems, it's constant frequency. And if we don't realize it yet, we are made of energy and atoms, right? So there's so many studies where our bodies are starting to dance with this frequency. And I do really, the more and more I read about it, the more and more I'm convinced that it does have a play on us from a health standpoint. So what that means for us as architects is how can we mitigate that for people, right? How can we begin to design our spaces being conscious of that? And a lot of ways our people are doing that is going back to using MC cable for our electrical wires instead of Romex. That blocks a lot of these electromagnetic frequencies and from escaping the walls. It's definitely more expensive, don't get me wrong, but it's something that a lot of clients, if you tell them either or and why, they'll go for it because of, for the sake of health. That's one thing. A lot of other things we're doing is we're doing kill switches in bedrooms. We're making bedrooms literally shut down because so much of our bodies, like we spend over 30% of our lives sleeping, right? Our bedroom should be our sanctuary. And if we are lit up with frequencies while our body is trying to restore, it's counterintuitive, it's counterproductive for us. So if we can kill the power to that room, I think people will have much more of a sound sleep. I don't even think, I know there's been studies on it. I could talk on and on about that, but I'll just keep going with natural materials. That's just our bread and butter. We always use natural things that are breathable and real, nothing ever plastic. Large modern window systems. Circadian biology is a big one too. So this kind of goes with the tech of EMFs, but there was a big study recently out of Scotland about LED lights, and this scientist equated LED lights to modern day asbestos and said the frequency of a lot of modern, not even a lot, all of, I don't want to say all, because I'm sure there's some scientist or somebody coming up with this. But as far as I know, LED lights, they don't have the UV red that incandescents do. They strip it fully out. So it's a blue light. Even though they can turn red and their Kelvin can go to 2000 or 2500 or 2700, it can pull yellow, but it doesn't have that UV value. So there's a lot of health studies on what it's doing to us as a species, which sounds weird, but it is. And I don't know if you saw this in our houses, but we really loathe recessed lights anyway. We'd prefer to do a wood ceiling and uplight and bathe the ceiling with light because we'd never like to see light bulbs. I don't know about you guys, but they're super distracting anyway. But then when you couple that with the LED technology and what we're seeing today, if it really is that big of a deal as asbestos, like there's a path to go down to I advise you to travel down that path and learn more about it. It's wild. And then redundancy here. I say this because I don't know how many of you guys are following a lot of the wellness moms. And I'm just going to say it that way. There are a lot of women out there who have created wellness consulting companies in the construction world because of how many people, and it's usually they themselves are affected or their kids are directly affected by mold. And it's so crazy because it's like, why are our houses so moldy? What's going on? But there's some stat like 70% of homes in America are full of mold. And that is disgusting, right? I think there's a lot of issues that go behind that, whether it's building practices, poor hygiene from people's not cleaning or not repairing things when they should, detecting leaks. So I like to put in redundancy, and this is something I'm doing a lot in our houses now. Ooh, sorry, wrong click. And modernism really lends itself more to this, where you can do hidden access panels that aren't just ye old drywall access panels. Like I could have a plywood sheet that I could screw off, but it looks like my wall system. Like there's just some tricks you can do where people can take a look, because there's a lot of these families that have been affected by mold, who have SIRS or MCAS, and they are literally freaked out about living in some of these houses. So that's like, there's not that, the population of those people that have that is not as not that big, but still, it's nice to be able to look at your building systems or implicate leak technology. Um, and then I'll just bust through these other ones. Superb indoor air quality. I mean, that's top notch. You have to have good lungs for your building, which is where high performance passive house. I mean, the breathing is the machine, and I think people have to spend the money for the ERVs, the HRVs, and really go for a um, really high quality mechanical systems. I put dry buildings, no duh, but it's really an epidemic. And I think I really wish building inspectors would actually check contractors in the sense of like checking the studs, checking the sheathing. What's the moisture content? What's the moisture percentage of that before you cover it? I mean, there's very little inspections for that. Actually, there's none. The only inspection for water in America is to fill the shower pan. You don't have to leak test the windows. You don't have, like it's wild. And then frequency and sound hertz. I'm sorry, I skipped one. Creating the habits for clients to be healthy. We really get deep into the clients' their way of life, how they function in a house, how they wake up, how they sleep, viewing the morning sunrise, how they cook in their kitchen. Today, I'm always pushing for people to put a sauna in their house and think about the health aspects of sauna. So that's just something we do when we meet with our clients. And then frequency and sound hertz design. I said for another day. That's a whole deeper discussion on where I'm trying to take our architecture and bring us back to the sacred hertz frequency that has been lost. And I'll just end with that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
I hope that was okay.
No, that's all good. Definitely some amazing projects you've got on the go. There's quite a few questions already in the comments, but we'll let people jump on in a second. But I think you touched on some really great points on the end with EMF, LED lights, and mold. And you know what? I think we should just open up the floor unless Connor or Jeremiah, you've got something you want to chime in about specifically, because in the comment sections, we've got everything from blower doors to Building Biology Institute.
All right, rock and roll, unless these guys have anything.
Yeah, just really quick, Kelly, I think that's, wonderful, wonderful work. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Has great stories. The sense of place thing is really, really important. But the last slide for me is really pivotal. It speaks to like really your ingredient list to your recipes and how you think about making these buildings and these spaces. Something we practiced for a long time in Toronto was what goes into our spaces. If we spend 90% of our time indoors, which is shocks most people, we are a product of our environment. So understanding that you can source, low or no urea formaldehyde added resins and glues and binders in your millwork, not just selecting the doors, but selecting the carcasses and selecting the adhesives that hold your subfloor down. All of these things I think for people are important. And I'm curious, you had a great comment about creating habits for clients. And we've also worked with clients with sensitivities with EMFs. When you do your RCPs or your electrical diagrams, do you put in USB chargers beside the beds in the master bedrooms, or do you take those out? You take them out.
So this is so wild. Like full disclosure, this is like fallen into my lap in the past year. This whole world of EMFs is like an eye-opening thing. And I'm super lucky that every client we do it's like you take them on newly each project. It's like a new case. You're diving into a new set of, the location, the regs, the people, and everyone. You're obviously getting better and better. And so I used to do that not that long ago. I would put outlets. Oh yeah, let's plug in here, plug in there. Now I'm like, oh my goodness, no. Like it's unless they force it, right? But I will definitely have conversations with them to make sure that they're aware of all the things so that they can choose, and then if they choose differently, then I'm not living there. I'm not sleeping there, but I've said my piece.
I think it's so great because you mentioned, maybe your client right now doesn't have these sensitivities, but the average house in Canada has lived in for 7 years until it's sold and until they move on. So if you're building 100 buildings, that
Yeah.
building will be lived in by 14 different groups, 14 different families. And
Hmm.
the likelihood of someone with chemical sensitivities or EMF or responsiveness is quite high. So yeah,
Well,
very,
also,
very,
I
very,
think, yeah, I think one of the big things we've just been really pushing with our clients is technology changes so much. Like today
yeah,
is an Ethernet cord, and next is going to be something else. And it's like, don't build it in, build in maybe a couple spots where you can change an outlet, but we kind of loathe all of these built-in systems, the kitchen companies now, they want you to wave your hand and a door's going to open. I'm like, come on, I have a sink that does that someone put in before me, and I can't stand it. I'm like,
that's why I
so
had children.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I also think that, people always like, well, I'm not sensitive. It's for those chemically sensitive clients we have to do this stuff. And I kind of beg to differ with that. I'm like, I don't think people realize what ailments are tied to certain things. And I don't think a lot of this smart electricity has been around long enough for any of us to say, yay or nay, it doesn't bother me. I think that whether you have a hand cramp from holding your phone too long because we're all flipping, or you have, your eyes hurt, or you have a
Yeah.
headache, like there might be symptoms that you don't even tie to what's going on, and realizing it. And I think that's why you hire professionals. And, luckily we're in a firm where I get to hire, I'm the orchestrator of the party, right? I get to bring in the structural engineer and the MEP engineer and the biological, and like this, the whole bio movement of EMFs, like that's a whole specialty. I'm not even going to begin to wave my flag like I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be hiring people that are specialized in those industries to bring in, and just like I'm doing with envelope consultants now. I mean, I'd rather lower the architecture fee and bring in the professionals to do their part and make it a huge team effort, so people can do what they do best.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
so that's very insightful. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about, first of all, that was an excellent presentation,
Thank
fantastic
you.
and beautiful projects. I'm really curious when you're selecting materials, obviously a lot of materials are highly durable and, low or no sort of toxic um, uh, residue essentially that people have to live with. But what's going
Mhm.
in between the walls? Like I know you're a little bit, Washington's a warmer climate than where we are, but you still obviously need to insulate and use, there's a lot of options when it comes to that, and some do better than others. But what kind of materials are you using inside of the walls to maintain sort of like a clean a
Mhm.
clean material palette?
Yeah, I mean, I am lately I've been pushing wool, like Havelock wool, I really like. I love rock wool. I get mad at rock wool. I give them grief sometimes because they offer a formaldehyde-free version. It's called IBO, IBF, IBV, EBV. I forget. There's a three-letter acronym, but they only sell it in like a half a truckload or like a whole truckload. It's something insane where it's not attainable for residential clients. So I'm
Mhm.
like, guys, if you can make it for the people. Like, come on, forget
Yeah.
forget these big orders. So if my residential clients, if their house can't take on that order, I think that's ridiculous. So I'm like, Havelock wool is now at Lowe's. Like, let's go get what's available. And the past few houses I've been working with 475 Supply and
Mhm.
using their the Proclima barriers, the
Mhm.
Intella Plus and the Adhero 3000. I love those. Where we'll create an insulated wall, and then we'll do the smaller stud wall for our utilities to run
Yep.
through. So we're
Yeah.
we're really trying to hone that in, and that's just mostly following you guys. And you guys have started this trend, and now I'm like, oh man, we got to get on the times with this. And I'm really thankful for that. And I've been waiting for someone to do a measurement. This is where I am like, who does this? Where I want to know what is the actual VOC level, like what's the actual toxic load through my wall system on the other side of those membranes if I had a formaldehyde, you know, piece of insulation. What am I actually getting on the other side?
Oh,
I'm the daughter of a painter. And so my father, I used to get so mad at him. I'm like, Dad, use the low VOC paint, the no VOC paint. Ah, that shit sucks. He wouldn't use it. I'm like, you're gonna die. And it's like, I'm like big on like the guys. I don't want the guys putting it in to die. And
yeah.
I just did a big barn, a pull house barn, and the quotes came back, and I used all comfort bat rock wool. And they had a deduct on the bottom of the bid, and it was like, if you switch to spray foam, we could save 80 grand. I'm like, oh, dagger, no. Like I just that I won't do anymore. I used to do spray foam unless I'm forced, or sometimes there's like an anomaly with a shipping container where I feel like I have to use it. But I don't know if you know what's his name, Brantley. I forget his first name. He's an indoor air quality specialist, and
Mhm.
he is like an
Oh, yeah.
engineer of this. And he had a big snafu at his own personal house with his spray foam. The guys didn't mix it right, and it's completely off-gassing tremendously. He can't even move in. He's in a lawsuit. That's just one of several cases I've heard. So I'm like, I know that stuff will somehow toxic its way through the envelope, through the layers into the home, which is wild. But that's it.
Well,
It's
and yeah, with
yeah.
spray foam, there's not usually another layer often, except for whatever your wall finish is, and that's what people who use excessive amounts of spray foam like about it. It's all one shot deal. You spray it in and then cover it up. So
Yeah.
that's a bit
Old
of a
Kelly
tricky
would
one.
have used spray foam, but new Kelly, no way.
Very cool.
Yeah.
As for keeping the formaldehyde on the outside, if you have a secondary air barrier that is extremely well detailed, I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but it's going to go like a long ways. So if like your Intello is extraordinarily well detailed,
Mm-hmm.
or you went to like a Sega MyVest and that was, or excuse me, Myrex, and that was incredibly well detailed, like a European style interior air barrier, or an R2000 program 6 mil poly. Not that I'm recommending you put 6 mil poly up on your interior, but that air barrier on the interior side would go a long ways to keeping some of those things you don't want in your
Mm-hmm.
indoor air out.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings me back to conversations that I've been having lately. And there seems to be like a spike in people in their mid 40s that all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden have winter allergies. And I'm like, why do you think maybe you're having winter allergies? Is it because maybe you're spending more time indoors?
Mm-hmm.
Is
Mm-hmm.
it maybe not an allergy? Is it maybe a reaction to something in your indoor air environment
Yeah.
or your indoor environment? And when you start talking air quality with a lot of people, especially clients,
Mm-hmm.
no clue. And, it is part of our job to educate those people. And I think you're doing an amazing job, not only here this evening, but on IG and
Thank
just
you.
on the day to day.
Yeah.
But
Thank
before I
you.
ramble on any further, we should probably open this up to anybody who has a question. All
Will they
right.
still see the screen, or will they is the screen gone?
They have
I
the
just put on a
opportunity,
pretty picture.
if everything's working right, they can jump in and ask a question.
Okay, cool. Go for it.
So
I'm just gonna put on a
if
background photo.
no problem. If you are in the audience right now and you have a question for Kelly, now is your opportunity.
Dun,
If
dun,
not,
dun.
I'm just going to read out some of the questions from the chat.
How do I raise my hand?
There we go.
I'm just gonna talk because I don't know how to raise my hand in Zoom.
That's okay.
It's like this. No,
Yeah. Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
That was a really great presentation, and it's nice to hear architects talking about indoor air quality and EMF radiation and the LEDs. I think it's really important that that's part of our conversations these days.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to pick your brain about where your education for that came from, because I recently signed up for the building biology course. And so I'm just curious, yeah, like how did you learn all about that and what would you recommend?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. So again, I'm the orchestrator, so I'm definitely not the consultant who would be hired on to do the fine details. So I'm the big picture, bringing in all the right people. But there's been a conversation in the mold world, which I've gotten looped into a lot more lately, and I started this page because my own kids have mold problems. We lived on a boat in Washington when I had my first two babies. And unfortunately, there's mold on that boat, and both of my kids got very sick. And so that brought me just my own, mama bear trail. And you can imagine where that goes. It goes all over the place. And so when you start peeling away the onion of mold, then EMFs are right there next to it. The people that specialize, which are the building biologists, specialize in both. So I was calling and talking to so many different building biologists about just the whole building systems and SIRS professionals and different. It's cool to talk to different people, like talking to usually functional doctors or holistic doctors are kind of more in tune with that than your regular doctors. So that's where the trail started. And then you start reading books about, there's a book called EMF'd, and it's like there's a ton out there. And I think right now I'm trying to rally the International Building Code. Literally, I'm trying to get on their panel to change the way we power bedrooms, because I really do think people need that reprieve. And there's no reason in code today that we need an outlet every 12 feet in a bedroom, and if we can start to make rooms. The code does not have a connection with health right now. It's like it's doing its own energy piece and its own public safety to an extent, but architects sign on for the health, safety, and public welfare of the people, right? And health is lacking in the building code, and I'm trying to change that. I think there's a big gap. So I don't have a building biologist degree by any stretch, right? But I know enough to be dangerous, and then I bring in the consultants to figure out the nitty gritty and draw it and make sure it's in the project. If I'm answering your question, but I think it's just a lot of one thing leads to the other, and you begin to go deeper.
Yeah, for sure. I've been in the rabbit hole. I know.
Yeah.
Thank
Luckily,
you.
that's the cool part about the web right now. Like we're getting connected, just like I met all of you guys starting to looking into passive houses. I wouldn't have come across Aaron, and you know what I mean, if we didn't have this whole world of IG. I think Aaron's frozen. No, he's not. Are you there, Aaron?
I am still here, yes, and I am glad that I met you
Yeah.
virtually, and
Yeah.
hopefully someday we'll have the opportunity to do it in person. Um,
I'm hoping to go to San Antonio next year for that build show. That would be fun.
we should make that happen. If you're smart, you'll come a couple days early
Yes, I am smart.
because there's
I would hope so.
there's a pod in the desert you should go visit too.
Ooh, nice. Oh, yeah, the G-Pod. Aha, yes. I've seen this thing. It just landed one night.
Pretty much, not quite, but pretty much.
It's awesome.
If there's anybody else who wants to jump in, they absolutely should.
There's someone with a hand up right now. I don't know how you
Oh,
work it back end, but
That's me.
thanks,
That's me.
Justine.
I got a question for you, Kelly. So when you guys
Yeah.
do your heating and cooling systems for the buildings, or do you have like a go-to system or systems that you guys look at, or is every project kind of different? Obviously,
Every project is different, but we almost always push geothermal. I think that's just super smart for any system, especially in our climate. So we'll usually have a geothermal system. Even on these tight city lots, we'll go vertical 600 feet, many wells, and we'll get it in there. And then now, I mean, it depends on the client. Some clients will do exposed ductwork, which makes it kind of a little bit more industrial, but also easier in a sense. We loathe bulkheads, so we'll do everything in our architecture to avoid them. But it really depends on the building, in this in the container building, you saw like the multifamily one, the blue one, that was all ducted mini splits that were hung in the bathroom ceilings. Um, Now, like most of our houses are full blown, either heat pump or depends on the house, but always using ERVs now, or HRVs depending on location. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean I don't know if I'm answering your question. I mean, as big of a MERV filter we can get, and high performance, energy efficient, depending on their utility will change a little bit whether they get gas or electric.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Can you guys hear my kids downstairs? My husband's like yelling at my kids.
It's all good. It's no
Oh,
different than coming to talk to one of us on a job site.
yeah, exactly.
Totally understand. Um, if anybody else wants to chime in, now's your opportunity. Otherwise, there's questions about blower doors and
I got one question unrelated to Kelly's topic.
Yeah.
Um, the symposium in Halifax in Dartmouth, coming
oh,
up in May. Any news on that from you guys at all?
May 7th and 8th.
Yep.
Those are the dates to save. We are hoping to announce registration middle of next month.
Okay, so wait for that. Okay, cool.
If you're if you've already subscribed to BS&BEER Canada, you will be on the email list, and when that goes out, you'll know about it probably before I do.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. So unless somebody else wants to chime in, I do know that there's a question about whether these projects have been blower door tested. I don't know if you can speak to that or not, Kelly, but
The newer ones, the older ones, it wasn't a thing. So a lot of those early 2000s up until, and really only until it became code. I don't know when it became code in Maryland. I mean, we've been doing blower doors for probably 8 years now, ish, maybe 8 years. But really only till it became code. So this is like a whole, not to say a whole new world, but like we're going, we're gonna go try and get tighter. As I think that's something we haven't always focused on. Um, we've always focused on passive solar, like our
yeah,
sun angles and where we're bringing in the summer sun and the winter sun and making sure we really control that naturally. We've been super into passive design for many years. So I think that's where our firm has some growth to do on ratcheting up our building science like ACH levels. Um, but if it trumps health, I'm gonna not worry about it. And that
well,
includes big windows, big, big, big windows.
you're doing good ventilation systems and good heating systems. So I think air tightness will only improve the health and comfort for your clients. Uh, just my opinion, but
Yes,
there's
100%. As long as no one makes me do a little window because of the sake of energy, then we'll be good.
well, glass is the perfect WRB.
Okay. I would agree. I mean,
I've got one more. I'm
yeah.
dying to know about the floors of Travis's house and the
Mm.
suspended system. And the one picture that you had when it was just kind of wide open and the suspension system was in place, and I think all three floors were visible. Are those
The
like a
bones.
precast concrete slab hanging there, or what is that?
No, it's a steel superstructure, big steel frame that was all welded in place with
Oh,
beams
wow.
across,
Okay.
and then infilled with I-joists for the floors, and then the
Yeah.
walls are steel studs.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That looks
Yeah, it's a
very
cool
interesting to
house.
get equipment into those sites and maintain natural habitat of everything around there.
Seriously, you're not joking. Yeah.
Very
And
cool.
people that work in the city get really good at it.
Yeah, oh yeah, no doubt.
There is a question about budgets. What type of budget do you work with? Do you have a minimum amount?
A minimum amount. No. No, I mean, we do a lot. I mean, that little this backyard container you see here. We've done a lot of containers that I would say are more on the lower budget stuff, like backyard units, if accessory dwelling units. Like we have a lot of pre-approved plans in Washington where you can go put a backyard unit in your we're one of the only architects that have that in the city, where you can buy our pre-approved plans and put a container in your backyard as an ADU. No, I mean, I think we're really good at working with budgets, especially because we've had our own construction company for so long. And I think we just have to be very cautious about the size of the project. Unfortunately, construction costs just keep going up and up, and they're never going to come down as far as I can see, because why would you? So I think, we were able to build a lot of our container homes for like $250 a square foot in Washington, which is pretty wild. But now I won't do one for less than 400 now, because it's just too much. There's just so much that goes into it. And I say this, but it also depends on the square footage, because the smaller, the more expensive. Like this could be $1,000 a foot because it's so tiny, but it's got all the stuff. In an architecture, we base our fees on not always the cost of construction, but we're usually a percentage around about 10 to 12% of the cost of construction. And it varies on the scale. Sometimes we'll be 15 or 20 if it's a really small project. But our sets of drawings are almost 200 pages. So you're not getting two plans and 4 elevations in a section. You're getting all the details, which I do think and hope builders appreciate, because it's all there for you. And we pride ourselves on that. We really like to be a part of the construction and be a part of the team, and have the clients have not too many surprises.
Well, that is a definitely well thought out set of plans. And the builder in me loves that and hates that at the same time.
I'm sure, I know.
But
Yeah. It'll be a
usually,
tricky, yeah.
usually when you get a really well detailed set of plans from competent people, and that's not a stab at architects, because some of them are really good friends of mine. But if you get it from a respectable firm, 99% of it is amazing. And the 1% is usually relatively easy to solve.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm really curious to see where we go in the world of AI. This is a different discussion, but architects in general and all of these details, when I'm happy that our firm is very cutting edge and creative. So it's not like we're coming up with new stuff. We're not replicating old stuff usually. So I'm hoping that there's a niche for us in that spot, but the copycats are going to be easy to hit, control C.
There's one more question here that I haven't got to yet. In addition to blower doors, are these homes energy use modeled and targeted for performance set above code minimum? And what is possible in the budget? I'm not sure I fully understand what they're asking, but
I mean, from a energy modeling, we have to do that by code on every project to go through the building permit process, unless you're like in a podunk town that has no permits. So we're at the point now where every one of our homes, we have to bring in a mechanical engineer. We don't do them ourselves anymore. So we used to, I mean, we're very involved on, where everything's placed and the supply and return and what it looks like and everything, and have a pretty good understanding of all the flow, but we bring in professionals for that now. And my kids are so loud. And yeah, so we are above code in many instances, but it's highly checked off at this point.
very cool. There's a huge difference between a 5-inch duct and a 6-inch duct. So yeah, it's good to have that type of information in your hand. And I know at some point in time, you and Jeremiah have to exchange notes on containers.
Do you do containers?
I did container one one container project, and I always refer to it as like taking a brick house with no windows and doors, and then putting in the windows and doors and trying to figure out how you're going to keep the water out because everything is backwards and inside out. It doesn't jive with any kind of conventional carpentry. It's a lot of fun and it's quite a challenge. But I did one. Probably
Yeah.
won't do two, but I really enjoyed the one I did, and it was a really good learning experience. It kind of became like a little kind of building science sort of backyard
Yeah.
experiment. But yeah, this is very cool. I mean, I love
Yeah.
the look of them. That was the main reason I thought they were very interesting, and I wanted
Hmm.
the challenge to try and mess around with one and see what I could do.
Yeah. We always loathe when people call us and they want to do a container home, but then they want to clad it all in something. We're like,
Yeah, yeah.
what? Why
Yeah,
would you
you
do a container home then? Like, let's just go bricks and sticks. Like, forget the like.
well, and I always think too, it's probably a lot easier to make a box look like a container than make a container
For sure.
into a functional box. Like they're very the aesthetic of them is what is super appealing to. It was what it was appealing to me, and I know that's what's appealing to a lot of people, but the
Hmm.
reality is we could probably mimic that steel very easily with something else and have the bones in there that would be a lot easier to work with. But it's neat.
Yeah.
I suspended mine into the trees, kind of similar to how some of your
Cool.
projects kind of cantilever out, and that was sort of I
Yeah.
wanted that feeling of it kind of being like a nest up in the trees a little bit.
Yes. That is
It's
one
a
of the coolest
beautiful
things.
space.
Hmm.
It truly is a beautiful space.
Yeah, it turned out
I
well.
enjoyed my stay there.
It
Cool.
turned out well.
Awesome. Are there more questions? It says 39 in the
I
chat, but that
am
just means people. I see.
I am not seeing any other real questions, but there is one question for you, Jeremiah. They want to know if we're going to do a BS and beer on your container.
Sure, yeah, bring it on. Small
Where
group.
are you
Oh,
located, Jeremiah?
I'm in southwestern Ontario, so I'm about 2.5 hours west of Toronto.
Awesome. Every what is it? Martin Luther King. Yeah, this weekend. Every Martin Luther King weekend for like 10 years, my friends and I and all go up to my friend's cabin and it's the Canadians versus the Americans in ice hockey. And I'll tell you, it's awesome.
Nice.
Great.
Where do you go?
It's in the Poconos Mountains. It's in
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my friend has a lake there, but she has a lot of Canadian friends from college.
Yeah.
I played
Nice.
field hockey in college, so, and I'm not, I mean, so I've gotten better at ice hockey, but it's always good because they will usually whoop up on us. So we have to kind of marry the team after a while,
Nice.
but love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
all right.
Well,
Well,
this has been
um,
super fun. I know. I wish there were more questions. Nobody's got 43 people and no questions. I guess,
It's great. It was great presenting. And we shared a lot,
yeah,
which is great. Yeah, we really thank you for coming. It's
yeah,
we really
it's
do. Yeah.
this was
And we're
fun.
20 minutes in overtime. So,
Okay. We did good
that's
then.
absolutely, that's a sign of a good show. If you don't make it to overtime, then right?
Yeah. Crickets. Ah. Well, awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to watching the rest of the shows for the year.
yeah,
Thank you.
awesome. It's a real pleasure. Nice meeting
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone, for joining us for another amazing edition of BS and Beer Canada. And thank you very much, Kelly. Looking forward to seeing you do some more amazing things this year and hope to see you all next time on BS and Beer Canada.
Good night.
Peace. See ya.
Thank you. Night.